Welcome on Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. And I personally would like to welcome you all to the show. Well, let me give you a little fanfare. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, look. Breaking news: Donald Trump, ex-president, has been indicted. He is expected to be arraigned next week. We know that, and we knew this was coming. Trump even knew it was coming. But the bigger issue is not Donald Trump. The bigger issue is Manhattan's district attorney, Alvin Bragg. This case could possibly split this country in two. Simply because Alvin Bragg is a black man going after a former president. Do you see that? Now, Bragg has already had death threats, had white powder sent to him in an envelope. They're using all the scare tactics against him. But he's standing strong. Why? Because he took an oath to do a job. Now, it's going to be hard, right? He was already called an animal, and some people are going to take it personal that a black man is bringing charges up against a former white president. So let's get into who is Alvin Bragg, right? This is New York. Let's go right here. Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, inherited the years-long Trump investigation when he took office in January of 2022. Trump could happen, sources say, an indictment of former President Donald Trump could happen as early as Wednesday, but we all know it happened today. There has been no official announcement of any time frame for the grand jury's work in the hush money investigation. Meanwhile, law enforcement agencies at all levels are shoring up security for the possibility of an indictment. Right. Now, we know that it's going to get wild. It's going to be crazy. Right. Everyone knows that. Right. Everyone expected that. If you were alive, then you witnessed what took place in January 6th. We know that. Donald Trump became the first president, sitting or former, to be indicted on criminal charges Thursday in a hush money case. The former real estate mogul and one-time president has been under an investigation that was reinvigorated in January when a grand jury began hearing new testimony. Who is the man leading the investigation? Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, right? Now, Bragg, however, secured convictions for Trump's company, the Trump Organization, and his longtime finance chief for an unrelated tax fraud scheme before pivoting to what he's called the probe's next chapter, bringing fresh scrutiny to the hush money payments, which have been the subject of repeated federal and state level inquiries over the last 6 years. Bragg is 49 years old. He came into office 15 months ago amid what he calls a perfect storm of rising crime and political pressure, along with internal strife he was facing over the direction of the Trump investigation. He's a Harvard-educated former federal prosecutor, chief deputy state attorney general, and civil rights lawyer. Bragg came equipped with legal and management credentials, but not much experience navigating New York City politics. Now, this is the deal. They'll say, well, those who are, let's say, those who are uneducated, right? They're only looking at the fact that a black man is indicting a former white president. That's all they see. And that fuels the anger, right? And some minds, they feel like, I don't care what Trump has done in America, no black man will prosecute a white president, right? Now, that's the mindset of old America. New America, that has nothing to do with it. Is Trump guilty of what he's being charged with? Bottom line question. Now, one could say, after this case with Trump, racism will be in the rear view of America, and this will set a new precedent going forward that we have no room and no tolerance for hate and bigotry, because you can't justify it after this case, right? This is history in the making. His courtroom bona fides include prosecuting a rogue FBI agent and overseeing lawsuits against Trump while a high-ranking official at the state attorney general's office. His life experience includes growing up in Harlem during the 1980s crack cocaine epidemic and being held at gunpoint 3 times by police. They'll bring that up, saying that he is a black vigilante seeking justice on any high-ranking white person with a name that he can bring down. You're going to hear all of this, right? But the bottom line is, did Trump do what he's being indicted of? But shortly after taking office, Republicans and some centrist Democrats were labeling Bragg soft on crime for a day one memo he sent to staff outlining his philosophy on prosecuting or not prosecuting certain offenses. Among other things, it said the DA would no longer prosecute some low-level misdemeanor crimes, including subway fare evasion and marijuana possessions. And what he was saying was, look, we got to use our resources on stopping bigger crimes, low-level crimes, waste time resources we don't have. All right, let's fine them. All right, give them a fine, and let's go after bigger crimes. Former U.S. Rep. Lee Zeldin, a Republican, campaigned for governor last year, partly on a promise to remove the independently elected Bragg from office. The vitriol against Bragg became so rancid and sometimes racist, friends worried for his safety. Like, this is where other black officers, black leaders, preachers, Al Sharptons would have to come in and say, hey, we can't allow you to hurt this person for doing his job, because the world needs to see a black man in this position doing his job and going after whoever commits the crimes. So we have to bag him up, get behind him for future for future leaders. Now, this thing about older leaders, right? I mean, in the political arena, right? And from the Sheila Jackson Lee to Al Green, even the president, even Joe Biden, even Trump, you all are doing a disservice when you hold office up until your 70s and 80s, right? Because it's what you're saying is you haven't found a younger predecessor that can do the job. You're not trying to pass the torch to the next generation. The next generation is creating a culture and society that they understand, which makes the older politicians out of touch with the new reality. So instead of them counseling younger politicians to bring them up to hold positions such as mayor, president, congressperson, you still want to run and you still want to hold a seat, and you're passing up generations that could be fixing this country with their new, fresh ideas. You got to stop it. Don't do it. Okay. All right. The New York Post put Bragg on its front page 13 times in his first year in office, including 5 times in his first month, with the receive headlines like "Happy 2022 Criminals" and "Justice Gone Mad." It became routine for a Post photographer to pepper Bragg with questions when he arrived at the DA's office each morning, which he often ignored. The truth was, while some types of crime increased in Manhattan in 2022 compared to the previous year, there were fewer murders and shootings. Inside the district attorney's office, Bragg faced dissent over the direction of the Trump investigation. Grievances aired anew last month in a book by former prosecutor Mark Pomerantz. In 2021, Bragg's predecessor, Cyrus R. Vance Jr., authorized Pomerantz and another type deputy, Kerry Doon, to seek an indictment on charges that Trump exaggerated the worth of his assets and financial statements he gave to lenders. Vance left office before the case was finished, leaving the decision about charges to Bragg. Bragg decided not to proceed immediately, citing concerns about the strength of the case. In a recent statement, he said Pomerantz's plane wasn't ready for takeoff. The delay prompted Pomerantz and Dunn to resign, leading to some speculation that Bragg had given up on pursuing a case against Trump. Bragg refuted that in a rare public statement last April, writing, "In the long and proud tradition of white-collar prosecutions at the Manhattan DA's office, we are investigating thoroughly and following the facts without fear or favor." And that's what he's about. Without fear or favor. Okay. Now, this is the test. Can Americans and white America, can white America as a whole swallow the fact that a black DA is going after a crime without fear or favor, and that person who committed that crime just happened to be a white former president? And we just leave it right there? Right? Or will the true racists who can't swallow that fact and will go out and seek to harm Alvin Bragg and tear up this country? This case is bigger than what you all think. But you heard it first right here on Verbal Pig Radio. And we are